Hey, Miguel. All right, let me get to this chat area here. Hey, Miguel, Junior, Connor. Thanks for the birthday wish. So let me know how things sound as far as the quality of the stream and all that kind of stuff. Let's see. Guess this works good. All right. Let me noodle around a little bit until some more people get here. But thank you guys for being here. Yeah, I'll give it a shot, Connor. Let me know what you'd like to hear. If I know it, I'll give it a shot. Let's see. It's David. Barry, can you say something about how to maintain enthusiasm while practicing? That's a good one, man. I'll be honest with you, when it comes to the technical stuff like playing scales and arpeggios or whatever, technical stuff you're working on to build chops, I guess you just have to look at the long term, At the moment, it's not that satisfying, but just to know if you're doing things right, meaning you're playing slowly and just striving for good technique, that the end game is what you should be looking at, that it'll be worth all of it. But the other part is actually pretty easy, is when I'm practicing, if I'm practicing, melodic minor or pentatonics, whatever it may be, I always practice on a tune. And as long as I'm practicing on a tune, it keeps me motivated and happy. It's when you practice, at least for me, I should say, when I'm practicing on just one little idea and just kind of, working it out on just the guitar, it's not nearly as much fun as trying to get it in on a actual tune. So that's how I keep it. That's how I keep my enthusiasm going. I did Nika's Dream last time, and you guys watched me, struggle through trying to figure it out. Lazy Bird is the train one, right? part though. All right, I'll give that a shot. I've played tunes that I don't know that I know worse in front of you guys. Let's get a tempo here. I'm on Ableton Live and Drum Genius, my usual thing here. So we're getting started already at like 2:25 here. All right, so let me comp in some changes. This is John Coltrane's Lazy Bird. Yeah, I know I got the bridge changes, the melody part that I was messing up. Let me just I think that's it. All right, here we go. One measure of count off. Crap. I did it again, sorry. All right. Okay, so hopefully those changes are right. All right, here we go. Make sure everything is right here. I know there's a cool ending that Train plays. I kind of definitely don't know it. All right, so that's Lazy Bird. I haven't played that one in a while. So Connor's asking, how do you generally approach the A flat minor? Always like on this chromatic harmony. I mean, well, I should say chromatic 2/5s. Always just natural sounding. At least for me, I got to start saying that because I don't want to feel like I'm the only right answer out there. But to me, what sounds best is natural extensions, because then you don't cloud up the chromaticism. If you're playing, alterations on the dominant chords, then those notes become diatonic to the chord you're going to, and it kind of makes it less effective, I think. So if I'm playing, what was one of those? So on the bridge, it's totally diatonic. The only thing I'll add in there is sharp 11, and not to get too technical, but that gives me the Lydian flat 7 mode. Yeah. Barry, which scale do I have to use? Yeah. Well, I know it's probably just, language gap, but you don't have to do anything. B minor 7, E7, F major. Where does that happen? I actually have seen that. Oh, does that happen? Yeah. I Remember You, right? Is that the tune you're thinking of? That's a great tune. Well, first of all, great question. For me, I usually let the key signature kind of dictate that answer. For instance, and that would give me a bunch of alterations on the E7 chord. See all the extensions on the E7 chord. If I use the key of F, which is, I think you're talking about this tune. I Remember You. So G, F, C, and B flat, those are all diatonic notes to F. So that's my tendency. But man, to find out the answer, just play the chords and see how they sound. In other words, if I played, that's the sound of altered tensions. The other would be this. They both sound fine. They'll both work. Both work. Both sound really, really good. I Remember You is B flat minor. No, listen. Yeah, it's B minor 7 to E7 is this second measure, not B flat minor 7, E flat 7. That wouldn't work with the melody. B minor 7, E7. So hopefully that answers that question. Anybody else? Any other requests? Sorry. Okay, you guys are being kind of quiet. All right, I'll just play something. But let me just take one quick minute. You guys know I'm doing a new CD next month. I'm recording on September 21st and 22nd. I've got this Kickstarter page going. And I'm only I think I'm about a third of the way there. So I'm going to put this link here. Just type this in around. Got it. if you guys would check that out. I mean, if you're getting anything out of these, live videos that I do or the preview lessons that I put up on this YouTube page, if you feel like it and you want to help me out, I really, really appreciate it. I mean, I'm not asking for like a donation. You basically would get the CD ahead of time. But there's all kinds of cool rewards up there, aside from just getting the digital download. So please check it out. It'll only take you a few minutes to go, look it over. But I definitely would appreciate your help on this one. It's going to be nice. I've got 9 tunes done. As a matter of fact, I was even thinking about playing one of them on this live thing. But I've got 9 done. I may write one more. It's 9, including like a chord melody thing. All original music, great musicians, and a ridiculously killing studio. So I'm totally looking forward to it. Okay, these are all good requests. Derek, patterns with half diminished scale. Half diminished scale. Do you mean like half whole, half whole? Is that what you're talking about? The half diminished scale. I don't really know what that is. I think that maybe we're just having a problem communicating. Favorite harmonic devices when arranging standards. Most of the stuff, well, the more conventional ways of doing things, stuff like you would learn in an arranging course, for instance, at a college or whatever. Diatonic approach, dominant approach, chromatic approach. To me, those are the 3 kind of go-to basic harmonization methods. In other words, when you have a melody note or several melody notes in the same chord and you don't want to repeat the same chord over and over again. Dominant approach, like I said, is one that I like a lot. And, diatonic approach and chromatic. Those are the 3 basic ones. But then you can get so advanced. I even posted a really cool thing that I saw from Berkeley. I'm forgetting who did the video now, but some really, really advanced topics on just reharmonization, where it almost became a random thing versus what I'm showing you now, which is pretty thought out. If I can give you a quick example. So that's a good example right there, on polka dots and moonbeams. That tune there. So you have all those 3 notes on F major 7. Instead of going and just harmonizing with the same melody, with the same chord, you could do the diatonic, which would be just walking up the scale. But I'm doing this insanely quick. Usually I would take a good half hour discussing this, but to give you a quick one. But the dominant approach is basically picking a target chord and working backwards by fifths. That's why it's called dominant approach. So I'm trying to get to this D minor. I just work myself way backwards. So I think of D minor. What's the 5th of that? A. What's the 5th of A? E. And I think of what those melody notes do with those bass notes. So the first one is D, the melody, and the bass note E, which I just showed you. So I can play E minor, and then the melody note E with the bass note A. I could play A7 flat 9, which would take me to D minor perfectly, and then I would get. So that little thing that I just played for you there contained both diatonic, dominant approach. I didn't do the chromatic one, but let's see if I can get that in there. Yeah. So that's all 3 of them in just one 4-measure phrase, I think. Let's see. Sorry, half whole. Okay, so Derek's clearing up that question. Man, I use half whole diminished on dominant chords. I know that you're asking me for patterns. I mean, there's gazillions of patterns out there. I for one, don't like using them because since the diminished scale is so symmetrical, it's so obvious when you're playing patterns, So there are things like You know, that's a classic one. Another one, another one that's pretty classic. This is one I got from Michael Brecker. That one's one I transcribed. But for me, I like just seeing, just like I do with every other chord. You know, if I have a A7 13 flat 9, which I would use A half whole diminished on, I like seeing the scale and just, you know, melodies like I just did. And seeing all the triads. Incidentally, all the stuff I'm talking to you guys about, I've got so many lessons on my website that deal with this, which is why I'm really kind of doing this quick version of it. But same chord, 13 flat 9, A7 13 flat 9. You can see right there, it's got a G flat triad in it. And since the chords are all built with minor thirds, I know I can move this F sharp triad in minor thirds. So that gives me F sharp, A, C, and E flat. So I have all those triads I can play with. But I don't consider any of that stuff patterns. They're just me, you know, just trying to find sounds within those, within that scale, just like I would if I was playing B flat minor. Not really thinking about patterns too much. Honestly, I really was never one for playing patterns. I remember, you know, listening to my fellow saxophone friends, you know, at Berkeley and William Patterson College, places I went to school, and that was a big part of their practicing regimen. Mainly, I think, because you've got to approach that instrument totally different than ours. But again, even though I did this a million times in my life, you'll never hear me in a solo ever play that. It's just that kind of stuff I just used as for building up chops and fretboard knowledge and stuff like that. So that's it. Hey Connor, yeah, even 5 or 6 don't have B flat minor, E flat 7 in it. I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but oh yeah, it does. It goes from the 4 chord to 4 minor, right before the turnaround. Sammy is asking me how to use correct dominant scale for dominant chords. Very quickly, there's two dominant chords function two ways. Either they're resolving or they're not. The ones that are resolving, say, let's use a different one this time, B flat 7 to E flat, for instance. On the resolving ones, you can use any dominant scale that you have. In other words, they can contain natural extensions, altered, any combination of. That list is super long. The ones that are not, the ones that, you know, for instance, the 2/7 chord is a classic example. If I took A train, that D7 doesn't resolve. It goes to D minor. It doesn't go to G, it goes to D minor. On those, natural sounding extensions sound much better than trying to alter it. And again, the way you can clarify this in your head is just play the chords. Rather than playing a bunch of notes, play the chords and keep that melody in your head. So if I were playing as opposed to well, actually that wasn't bad, but let me do this for you again without me singing. It just doesn't sound good. That was D7 flat 9 as opposed to natural 9. That's the way, really, you know, use your ear to tell. But in a nutshell, resolving dominance, anything you want. Non-resolving dominance, natural extensions. And I've got a lesson on that too. It's just called Dominant Chord Study. And you should definitely check that out if you have that question. Thank you, Barry. Confirmation, Charlie Parker. Any advice? Yeah, just take your time. That's a tough head to play. I haven't played it in so long, I wouldn't even try it right now. Um, yeah, but I mean, it's a great head, like a lot of these bebop heads by Charlie Parker, because a lot of the answers to all your questions you're asking me are in there. And when I say that, I'm dead serious. You know, because there's all these instances of non-resolving dominant chords, resolving dominant chords, and Charlie Parker was brilliant. You know, and he somehow had an understanding of all that stuff in such a long, long time ago. You know, another one is Donna Lee or Moose the Mooch. Any of these bebop heads that are real notey are studies in bebop. You didn't even necessarily have to go to the solos. There was one period in my life, I do remember that, where I was transcribing a lot, learning a lot of solos from different people, and then I thought to myself, let me just study some of those bebop heads, and I got a lot out of just that. And the cool thing is, you know, again, you're playing stuff that really doesn't lay that great on guitar, as you've probably discovered. The bebop stuff is hard to play on guitar. It just doesn't lay that comfortably everywhere. So even for that reason, I would spend a good amount of time on Confirmation, Donna Lee, you know, those kinds of heads. Connor, what's the next solo I should learn? I mean, really, that's up to you. I mean, I don't know where you are, you know, as far as you're playing, but I'm always recommending Greene as a great starting point. You know, I recommend highly a tune called Greene's Greenery. It's off of Grant Greene's record Grandstand. It's just a B-flat blues, but it's textbook perfect B-flat blues. Plus, if you're kind of in between worlds, meaning if you're coming from the rock or blues world, there's a lot of instances of just straight up blues, with all the jazz inflection, of course, which is a whole different thing. But then the 2/5 stuff and his phrasing and time and sound are all there. So I think that's a great one. Anything by Wes. When I say anything, honestly, I haven't heard the guy ever play a bad solo ever. So anything by Wes. And I pick things that you can play. You know, don't make the mistake of trying to transcribe something that's really fast, because ultimately you're going to want to play the solo along with the recording as part of your practice, so you can pick up the nuance and time feel. And I'll tell you right now, you guys, you know, thankfully, and I'm really glad that I get a lot of emails. And I do a lot of Skype lessons, and without a doubt, that's the number one thing that comes up. And I've said it in lessons lots of times, you know, it's easy to learn, you know, the theory. It's just information, you know. So you catalog it in your brain, you understand that you can use B flat minor on an A altered chord, you know, okay, great. But where does that get you as far as being able to play music? So that is the question I always get, and why I feel that you know, transcription is such an important part of putting all that together. I saw an interesting post the other day, and it's somebody who I really admire too. Not the poster or the person that they were posting about, which was Ted Dunbar, who used to teach at Rutgers. And I know I've been talking a lot. I'll play something in a minute. But he was a guitar teacher at Rutgers University in Jersey. And there's a real funny story. I'll tell it really quick. Because I went down to accompany a saxophone player who was auditioning for his graduate degree. So for me, there was no heat on me. I was just the accompanist. But of course, he was sweating bullets. But I was totally relaxed. And I remember just accompanying him, just guitar and saxophone. And after it was over, the director of the program, a man named Bill Fielder, came over to me and offered me a full ride to go to Rutgers, you know. So, of course, I was overjoyed, but felt awful for my saxophone player friend. But when I went back for my audition, you know, then the roles were reversed, and I was nervous as all hell. I brought a bass player with me, and Ted Dunbar was the guy who was auditioning me. And I remember playing a tune, you know, with this bass player, and I felt fine. You know, I played as, you know, like I normally would. But then Ted just took my guitar and turned his back on me and just started playing chords. You know, what chord is this? What chord is this? What chord is this? Like that, you know. And I think I did pretty well. I was a lot younger then, but I think I did pretty well. But anyway, the end of the story, I should say, is I still was offered a nice scholarship, and it wasn't a full ride like that first day. But it's a really funny story for me. But the reason I'm telling you this is because the person who did this post said that Ted Dunbar had said to not use a metronome, not use a fake book, and to not transcribe. So I agree with 1 out of 3 for sure. I think the fake book could be deadly to your growth. You know, I think it's got its uses, but But the other two I really have a severe disagreement with, especially the metronome one. I can get the transcribing one. I know a lot of people really just want to be free of any kind of, not to be able to hear any kind of influences in your playing. But man, the metronome thing, I think that's so important. That was a long ass story. I know you guys are asking me some questions, but let me play something just so this entire YouTube thing is not all me just yapping away. So that was, I just did, I'm trying to get a tempo in my head. How about something like There Will Never Be Another You, something really straight ahead. All right, so that's more like 185. It's a nice relaxed tempo. So here's one measure of count off, and off we go. So at 186, that's Max Roach groove. Another U. wrong buttons. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm just reading. That's why I'm not spacing out here. I was to think that I went into some sort of trance. Let me go back a little bit here. All right, next, I use whole tone on A train, D7. Yep, Lydian dominant, whole tone, great choices. Yep, great choices. I mean, the thing is, man, with that A train thing, the melody itself, it's natural 9 and sharp 11. So as long as your chord scale choice contains that, you're good. And when you think about it, the two suggestions that Connor put out there, I mean, that's that. That's pretty much it. A scale that has natural 9 and flat 5 or sharp 11 would be whole tone. And the other one would be Lydian dominant. Definitely, those are great choices. Sammy, I mean, you could use Lydian dominant for everything, but anything all the time is not good. It gets boring. Plus, the Lydian dominant doesn't contain sharp 9 and flat 9, which are like really for me, I think the primary alterations on a dominant chord. All that Charlie Parker stuff is that. That sound does not occur on Lydian dominant or whole tone, so you got to be really, really careful. That being said, not to confuse the issue, but your thing would work if you thought of the tritone of the dominant chord. In other words, if you're playing 2, 5, and G, and instead of D7, you thought of the tritone, which is A flat 13 or A flat 7. If you think of Lydian flat 7 from there, it's fine. And I know people who do that. People who think when they want to get an altered dominant sound, they'll just think of the tritone of the original dominant chord. And people like myself always relate it to the original dominant chord. Either way, you're going to get the same result. But be careful with that for sure. Connor, there's a flat 9 on the B flat 7, the confirmation in the head. Yeah. No, there's not. Oh, yeah, it's kind of, but I think it's more of a blues sound. Ding. That's a whole other thing. That's really just blues. And Charlie Parker, as everything he did, was masterful at combining blues. And that's another thing too. Just in general, we can get so egg-headed about all this stuff, meaning so theory-driven that we're just looking at a lead sheet and seeing a note and saying, okay. And this is not about you, Connor. I'm just saying in general. You see it B natural, okay, it's flat 9, but yeah, technically, I guess it's flat 9, but in context, it's just blues. So I would not think of it in terms of that at all. I'd still think of it just the way I've just been talking to you guys about before. That dominant chord does not resolve. That to me is a perfect place for Lydian dominant. That sound, and again, the melody to me is just blues. And if you disagree, that's fine. But always let your ear and musicality be, the most important things. I was trying to think of some bigger college words because I got to go back to school in a couple of weeks. But if it sounds like blues, it's blues, and there's no point in just analyzing it. Vitor, thanks, man. Glad you liked the 2-5 lesson. Let's see. Still reading comments here. How would you approach static minor chord George Benson style? I mean, I've done my best trying to, I'm trying to think of the right word, mimic, because there's no way. I mean, I know a couple of guys who can really play like George, just a couple. There's Rodney Jones in New York who sounds amazingly like him. When I say like him, I mean that tone and that right hand picking technique, which is so special, man. It's so special. I don't have it at all together. I came more from the Pat Martino school of just articulating pretty much every single note, you know, where George has this really unique way of just getting out what he needs to get out. It almost seems like that's what it sounds like to me. It's just so incredible. But as far as, it depends, man. I mean, really, I know I'm making much more out of this than I probably should, but when George is doing his smooth thing, you know, when he's just grooving out, which I love, I hear a lot of people like get on George Benson about that. That guy is, to me, one of the greatest living guitar players, if not the. But you know, he just plays music. He's probably one of the most musical, soulful guitar players ever. You know, that's all there is to it. I'm always astounded at just by his time feel alone. So, I mean, you're asking me static minor chord, you know. I'm not even going to try it because I don't have George's style together. But the idea being that, you know, he's either playing groovy things like that, or the same stuff that most beboppers play. You know, he's got his roots firmly in bebop. If you guys ever listened to those early records like Benson Burner and Cookbook and things like that, you know, he's just playing like just the most killing stuff, you know. So I know I'm kind of not answering your question. It's just that he's just too hard to imitate, only because it's such a stylized, specialized thing that he does. Okay, try to get out of that. Hey Nick, glad to hear that the sound is good. Dolphin Dance or Windows, yeah, I'll do one of those. Yeah, the chromatic tritone movements, yeah, GWEE or GWE 420, yeah, yeah, man, I mean, it's like everything, you know, your mileage may vary. If it sounds good, it sounds good. You don't have to get too crazy about that. Yeah, Yardbird Suite, GWE 420, right. It's exactly it. I mean, that 2/5 to me is called the backdoor 2/5. You know, for the key of C, that's Yardbird Suite. We have the 2/5. Resolving back to C. That's being referred to now in schools as the backdoor 2/5. I've got a really interesting lesson on that too. I'm not trying to sell you membership to my lessons, but they are good. But I have this lesson called retargeting 2/5s, where if, you know, we were doing a 2/5 in C, I'll show you how to use that. Then a minor third from there, which is the backdoor 2/5, and a minor third from there, which is a tritone substitution, and a minor third from there, which I don't have a name for, and is the most out sounding, but, or I should say outside sounding, but if you are able to articulate it right, it sounds killing. But that lesson is called retargeting 2/5s, and that's a good one. All hail the blues. Yeah, Connor, it's a good point. You're right. Smack on the 4/7 chord. You're right. So yeah, it's totally blues. Deshaun, does UNF let people audit classes? I think so, but I know what you're asking, obviously. But there's no class to audit as far as jazz guitar. You know, it's all applied lessons, one-on-one lessons. We do have a master's program now, though. You can actually get your master's degree in performance on jazz guitar at UNF. So, can you play some simple tune with some counterpoint? Not really. I mean, I know what you're going for. I think I do. You know, guys like Julian Lodge who are just so unbelievable at that. It's something I don't have in my playing, so I wouldn't attempt that. You know, I've got my thing, you guys. You know, and that's it. I'm getting old now too. I just turned 56, so it's going to be hard for you to change me at this point. Another real theory question: how do you deal with D minor 9 flat 5, G13 flat 9, C major? I would treat each of those chords separately, because the D minor 9 flat 5 I would treat with F melodic minor. 13 flat 9, the G, diminished, half from G. And then on the C major, I would just play major. So I would treat each of those chords separately. just really being specific, because you were super specific with your extensions, and really that's what determines if we're talking about like exact chord scale relationships. Pablois, how to comp when there's pianist and guitar player? It's a great question. There's basically three ways of handling it. The first way is just to lay out, and I find myself doing that a lot, especially when I'm playing, you know, I shouldn't say contemporary gigs, but if you're playing with any kind of piano player that has a strong harmonic sense, rarely is that person going to stay on the given chord changes of a tune. Even in any of the tunes that I played so far, you know, certainly going to venture away. So typically what I'll do is just lay low. Like if we were playing a tune like we just talked about, I would stay out of the way. Stuff like that, thirds and sevenths, very rhythmic. But as soon as I heard the piano player venturing away, I tend to just stop playing, because all I'm going to do is just cause confusion. And it's not a matter of, you know, hearing each other, you know, as far as like a game of ear training. Sometimes it becomes that. Like if I do hear, you know, let's say the pianist decided to change that C major chord to one diminished, and I hear it, and I would hear that because it's something that I've, you know, checked out a lot. I could follow him along and try to grab it, but then, like I said, I think it loses its musicality because I'm too busy just trying to do an ear training thing for myself. So I generally just try just to lay out. And the other option, the third option, did I do the I think I only did, yeah, one is lay out completely. The other one is the second one, which is lay low and just use your ears. The other one is if you're playing a real traditional thing, like if we use, I would do, Freddie Greene style, if it's a real traditional thing. But if you're playing like a tune like you guys requested, Dolphin Dance, the Freddie Greene thing is not going to work. So best thing is, like I said, is just to lay low, use your ears, be complimentary if you can, but if you can't, it's best to just shut up, if you know what I'm talking about. Let's see. I'm going to play another song in a second, but let me just read this last. Yeah, Connor. You know, it's funny, Connor's saying, I love the backdoor dominant in Stella. It's really beautiful. That's a reharm. That's not even the original tune. If you listen to Miles' version, I'm trying to remember if it's the first or second quartet, they play this. They play G minor 7, C7, the original 2/5. Pretty interesting. Yeah, quit nerding, you're right. Yeah, Connor, Julian is a badass. Deshaun, yeah, Nick was a great student. I can't answer such a broad question like that on what's my take on chord melodies. I love them, you know. I can't answer. It's just such a huge question. But like Guif 420 says, quit nerding out. So I'll play Dolphin Dance, Herbie Hancock's Dolphin Dance. Let me just go through it real quick. Okay, the only thing is, in order for me to do the soloing on it, I can't play that first 4 measures of the tune. This is just you know, a looping thing here. So let's get the tempo here. So that's about 125. That's a real nice, relaxed tempo. Let me get a drum groove. So this is it's Pete LaRocca. E. Let's see. Yeah, that's good. All right, so here's the comping to the solo section of that tune that I just mentioned to you. Got the worst memory, when it comes to anything else but notes. Can't believe I already forgot the name of the tune. Man, did I screw it up completely? I don't even know. I might have screwed it up. I'll find out in a second. All right, let's see what happens. Okay, Dolphin Dance. Yeah, I just messed up 2 chords in there. So what are you gonna do? All right. Oh man, Django fan. I don't have any really pet peeves. If you guys, have gotten to know me through these lessons, I'm really a pretty easygoing guy. I tend not to take myself too seriously, so I certainly am not going to get on somebody else. I mean, and people that I play with, thank goodness, these days are all pretty spectacular, and I really don't have any to worry about any kind of issues like that. So, sorry, I got nothing there. Yeah, as Thomas, yeah, man, if you watch any of these things, you'll see plenty of mistakes. That's what I'm saying. How could I possibly, get on some sort of, pulpit here and preach to you guys about what you should and shouldn't do? I'm just giving you what's worked for me, and definitely I make mistakes every day, and I've been at this a long, 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 long time, On the other hand, I am definitely taking chances, always, and you just got to get over the fact that some of them are, you're going to screw up, man. But if you're playing it safe all the time, that's no fun either. I certainly could have played any of the tunes I played for you guys today and really just, like I said, stayed in some little safe place that I know everything's going to work. But, once you start feeling inspired and people are listening to you, even in a situation like this where I don't see anybody, but I know you're there, and so it definitely gives me the same kind of feeling as if I'm playing, live. I'm inspired. I want to play. So I'd just rather try to express myself, and I don't know how it is for guys like my peers. I don't know if I've ever had this exact discussion, but whether they're making mistakes too, and you just would never know it, Anyway, Gui 420, another great question. Why am I playing that grandpa guitar all the time? This guitar is really my sound, I think. Like a real traditional archtop sound. Although I've been toying around with different strings. I was playing the Tomastic 14s. These are Tomastic 12s, so I had to change the setup of the guitar a bit to get them to work. But it still has a big sound. I ordered Tomastic 13s, a swing set of flat wounds. They came today, and the package was all messed up. The strings were all squished together. The individual packages were ripped, and there was some sort of oily thing on there, Actually, I should have made sure I washed my hands. So I got to send them back. But I want to try some more strings out. I love the 14s, and then they play wonderfully. But I've noticed that I can get the same sound without having to press so hard with my left hand. It never affects anything with the right hand. So still haven't figured it out. But with that being said, I want to get this right before I go into the studio next month. So if I haven't figured it out by the end of the month, this month, I won't even mess with it anymore. But with that being said, guys, I'm going to post again my Kickstarter link. If you feel it in your heart to help me out by supporting this project, I think I'm about a third of the way there. I really would appreciate any kind of support. Honestly, I think I've got over 5,000 subscribers on this YouTube page. So if everybody just gave me $1, $1, I'd be there. I'd be done. Again, not trying to appeal to your conscience or anything, but if you've gotten a lot of help from these videos that I've done and you feel it, please contribute. And like I said earlier, it's not like you're just donating me money. All you'll be doing is just getting an early copy of the actual CD, and with all of for $25, I'll just say that, for $25 you get the CD, all high-resolution audio files, no compressed audio, and all of the lead sheets. Like I was saying earlier, I've got 9 done, and I'm going to do a 10th one. So that's 10 lead sheets, that you can have. So please consider it. I would really appreciate it a lot. The third is, of course, the wound string. Junior, thanks so much. And Vitor, thanks for coming to my rescue, but I know he's just kidding around. Sometimes, hey Taylor, sometimes once in a while I get a real jerk on my YouTube page or whatever, but I know when people are joking around, and I know when people are just being assholes, so to speak. So anyway, you guys have any other requests? There were some other, yeah, well, maybe some blues, or just let me know. I'll just, because this is about 20 seconds behind. while you guys are doing that, I'll play a little bit of this solo guitar. Man, that's a great idea, Junior Mercer. A video of the session. I was planning on taking lots of pictures and little video clips, but I wasn't really planning on recording the whole thing. That's a really good idea. I have to give that some thought. So I'll play this little solo thing that I've been kind of fleshing out right now. It's not what you'd expect, because anyway, let me just play it. All right. Star Eyes. How's that go? Okay, so yeah, I'll do that. But the only thing is I can either play it swing the whole way or bossa nova the whole way. I think we'll just play it. Well, it's up to you guys. Kirk, I didn't see your question. Unless, oh, here it is. Man, that's a really great question. I don't know if you see this. It's about 10 comments above the advanced harmonic sense that you mentioned piano players have. I think he's just talking about the fact that it is no longer the truth. I'll make the statement, but then I'm going to qualify by saying it's no longer true. But I mean, there was a time for sure, like 50s and 60s, from 60s and 70s, and the guitar players, as you guys know, Wes, Tal Farlow, Kenny Burrell, Jimmy Rainey, Benson, those are my guys, and they definitely did not have the harmonic sense that guys like Chick Corea, Keith Jarrett, Herbie, who were around at the same time. Just wasn't happening. I think my gut tells me that it's just that the history of the guitar was just too. It came in so later in the history of jazz. I think there was some catching up to do, plus the physical limitations of the instrument. But it had been just, as you guys know, it's more of a rhythm section instrument until a guy like Charlie Christian came around. And but nowadays, it's not the case, man. I mean, all these young modern guys are as hip as any piano player these days. I think that's over. The question really was about playing with a piano and guitar, and my response was, in other words, if the piano player is soloing, if they're in the middle of improvising, I'm standing out of their way, because there's nothing I can do. Even if, like I said, I treat it like an ear training game and try to play every piece of harmony, it's still not an enjoyable experience for me or the pianist, because it almost feels like he's just being imitated constantly. So if you are playing with a pianist, I think the best thing, like I said, stay out of the way. And I also said earlier too that if you're playing traditional standard tunes, you cannot go wrong with just playing Freddie Greene style. I mean, it really sounds great. Listen to those recordings with Russell Malone and Benny Greene. Are perfect examples of a more modern version of like the Jim Hall, Bill Evans recordings. Even the Jim Hall method is great too. He didn't seem to even worry about what I'm talking about at all. Playing with such a harmonically strong pianist like Bill Evans, and that sounded so silly saying harmonically strong. He was the most brilliant musicians we've ever had. Like I said, it really depends on your comfort zone. For me, as soon as I hear things clash, or as soon as I feel like I'm stepping on somebody, I'm out of the way, because it doesn't serve the music. And that's what I'm there for, man. I'm there to serve the music. I'm not there to be like the star of the show. I just play and try to have as much of a musical experience as possible. Okay. All right, so I had a request for Star Eyes. And if I do that, I think this is going to be the last thing I play. But again, here's my Kickstarter link. Check that page out, guys. Please, like I said, I'm about a third of the way there. If nobody else has any requests, okay, so I'll do this as a bossa nova, the Star Eyes, so that settles that. Just let me get a tempo here. So that's about 152. Let me see what I have here for bossa novas about that tempo. Let's see what this is. Okay, so that's going to be it. I'll use that. Let me just go through those changes again. There we go. So one measure, and then comping for Star Eyes. Let's just go with one chorus there. All right, let's go for it. As you can tell, the tune I haven't played much. All right, Star Eyes. Okay. Django fan, what are the good ways to expand beyond the typical drop to all that stuff? Fourths. look into fourths, look into inversions of fifths, and do it the same way. You know, learn to harmonize your scales and modes using fourth voicings and fifth voicings, or just even clusters. You know, you use the word expand. You can even just use like just 3-note voicings. You know, things like this. This is C minor 9, and just harmonize your scale with those sounds too. And you know, there's gazillions of variations on that. So. All right, I think that'll do it for me. I know I've been here for a while. I've had a great time as always. So thank you guys for being here. Thanks for all the great questions. And if you have gone to my Kickstarter page for your support, I really do appreciate it. Here's the link one more time. I need your money. I think I'll do something like this, if not tomorrow, the day after tomorrow on Facebook. So I guess that's... I have a hard time saying goodbye because I really do have a great time doing this, but I've been playing for a long time. All right, all the best to you guys. Thanks again, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.